Hey everyone, Tim the Drop Man. It's Wednesday and that means week 2 NFL picks. So how did I do last week? 11-5. Not bad, but I really thought as the weekend was going on I was going to actually do more like 12-4, but 11-5, I'll take it. I think that's better than most. I think I feel safe to say. So this week I'm going for 16-0. And I think I got a really good shot at least 14-0. You never know what's going to happen in the NFL, but let's see how my picks hold up. I'm going to throw a few darts and we'll talk about some football. All right. So the first game of the week is kind of a good game, and it is tomorrow night. It is the Commanders against the Green Bay Packers, and the Green Bay Packers, wow. They looked like a well-oiled machine last week. And I think this week is not going to be different. I think they are a well-oiled machine. Washington, who also won last week, is also a well-oiled machine. And I think it's going to be closer than what most experts might pick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 28-27 Packers over the Commanders, and they'll squeak it out. So that's game one. Really looking forward to it too. I think that'll be a fun game to watch. And again, battle of the 1-0s. So the next games, no particular order. Just kind of going to give you the games, and we'll go from there. So the next game is going to be the Jaguars and the Bengals. So both of these teams also are 1-0, and the Jaguars played quite well last week. Was really impressed with their quarterback play mostly. And the Bengals did not. They won the game, but they were expected to win the game, and they didn't play all that well at all. So they are playing in Cincinnati, where the Bengals' home field is. And for that reason and that reason alone, I'm going to go with the Bengals win. So I'm going to say Cincinnati 24, and I think we're going to go Jaguars 21. So a 3-point there, 24-21. Cincinnati over the Jaguars. So the next game is going to be fun as well, and it's the Seahawks at the Steelers. Now, neither one of these teams played very well last week. The Steelers did end up winning, but again, not playing overly well. So I think what I'm going to do, where again, similar to the last game, the Steelers are playing at home, I am going to pick the Steelers to win this one. And again, it's going to be another close one. I'm thinking maybe 17-14 Steelers. So the next game should be kind of a snoozer. It is the Rams against the Tennessee Titans. Now, Tennessee is not in the same class of team as the Rams. And again, even though the Rams did win last week, and I didn't really expect much out of them, but they will beat the Titans this week. Titans are outmatched by the Rams, and barring a serious injury during the game, I think what you're going to be looking at is a Rams win. So the Rams over Tennessee, playing in Tennessee. And the next game, this should be an absolute massacre. This is going to be the Buffalo Bills playing at the New York Jets. Now the Buffalo Bills are 1-0. They beat the Jaguars. They beat the Ravens, and it looked like in the fourth quarter, the Ravens were going to win that game. I mean, it really did. It was a tremendous comeback by the Bills, and the Bills squeaked it out. It was really cool to see. And I think in this game, though, the Bills are 1-0. They're playing against the Jets, 1-1. Jets are one of the poorest teams in the league, and so I think Buffalo will probably win this game maybe 35-38-10, somewhere along those lines. And I think the Jets actually will be pretty happy if they do get the 10 points. They're really outclassed by Buffalo. And, you know, a lot of the teams are pretty outclassed by Buffalo. So, nice ton. We'll take that ton. The next game on my list is the San Francisco 49ers against the New Orleans Saints. And again, here, same thing. San Francisco, you know, not one of my favorite teams, but a good team playing against a really poor team, the New Orleans Saints, and not a lot to speak about here. Look at that, another ton. Nice. Not a lot to speak about here, other than saying that the 49ers should win it relatively easily. And score-wise, let's say 49ers 31, Saints 7, something along those lines. The next game is the Panthers against the Cardinals. Again, Panthers kind of going 3 in a row here and announcing these games. Panthers are not a good football team, and they should not be anywhere near the prospect of winning this game. So, you know, the Cardinals did win last week. I picked them to win, and I'm picking them to win again this week. Probably closer than most people will pick. I will pick a 21-17 score on this, and I think more than anything else, it'll get down to garbage time, and the Panthers will score some points. Now, the next game I'm really interested in. The next game is the Eagles at the Chiefs. Now, the Eagles won. They beat the Cowboys last week. They beat them pretty handily. And the Chiefs lost last week. And I picked the Chiefs to lose last week. I picked the Eagles to win last week. And I'm going to pick the Eagles to win again this week. Now, I haven't looked at the odds of the game because I really don't care, I don't gamble. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles were favored to beat the Chiefs at the Chiefs' home field this week. And I think what's going to happen is that the Chiefs are going to be 0-2 and the Eagles 2-0. So pretty hard to start out a season 0-2. Remember, there's only 17 games. So let's see what happens. I think it'll be a fairly high-scoring game, maybe 35-31, but I'm picking the Eagles to win. So Eagles to win 2 games in a row, Chiefs to lose 2 games in a row. It's just the way it's going to fall. The next game is the Broncos and the Colts. Now, both the Broncos and the Colts won last week. I did pick the Broncos to win. I did not pick the Colts to win. So that being said, I still think that the Broncos have the might and the power and the team to go into Indianapolis and beat the Colts. And probably looking at somewhere around 27-21, say by 6 points, something like that. But the Broncos will beat the Colts at home, so they'll hand the Colts their first loss of the year. Next game, the Chargers and the Raiders. Now, I did not pick the Raiders to win last week, and they did. I did pick the Chargers to win, and the Chargers did win. But the Raiders really surprised a lot of people. Now, they were playing the Patriots, so it wasn't like a huge challenge. But they found a way to win, and they were playing in New England. So I think this has a possibility of being maybe a little bit competitive in the beginning of the game. But if the Chargers start rolling like they did last week, it's going to get over relatively quickly. Like, you know, end of the second quarter, it's going to look like a Chargers game. And therefore, I'm going to pick the Chargers to win this game, and I'm going to pick them to win, say, 31-17. We'll see what happens. But I expect the Chargers to be 2-0 and the Raiders to be 1-1. So the next game is interesting. It's a NFC East matchup with the New York Giants playing the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the Dallas Cowboys didn't look great last week. They really didn't. They looked like, there's fun. They looked like they weren't ready to start the season. And I think they're going to bounce back. They do have talent on that team. They really do. CeeDee Lamb is a great receiver, but he can't do it alone. So they need help. I think they're going to pull it out. So, you know, let's see what happens there. I'm going to pick the Cowboys to beat the Giants at home. All right, the next game is near and dear to me. The Patriots are coming to Miami to take on the Dolphins. And it used to be a long time ago when you had a Patriots-Dolphins game, it was really competitive. And I think we're getting back to this year where it's going to be a really competitive game. And I did pick the Patriots to win last week. They got beat. I did not pick the Dolphins to win last week. I can't remember. But regardless, this week we'll go on the Patriots. They're going to go in and play Miami, and they're probably going to win this game. If I had to guess, I'd say 17-12, somewhere around there. We'll see what happens, but I'm picking the Patriots over the Dolphins, 17-12. All right. Next game, you know, this is the Cleveland Browns going to Baltimore to play the Ravens. Now, after the loss that the Ravens took last week, man, I would not want to be the team playing them this week. Lamar Jackson and gang are going to absolutely demolish the Cleveland Browns. I'm looking at, ready for this, somewhere around 45 to maybe 14, 17. It's going to be an annihilation. And, you know, they didn't like losing that game the way they did last week in Buffalo. They will win this game, and it will be by a mile. So look for the Baltimore Ravens to bounce back. All right. The next game, the Bears and the Lions. No Tigers in this one. But the Bears at the Lions, again, the Lions lost last week. I picked them to lose last week against Green Bay. I picked the Bears to win last week, and they did not. They let me down. So they let me down last week. They're not going to let me down this week because I'm picking the Lions to beat the Bears, and the Lions are a much better team than what they showed last week. Again, a lot of these teams, you know, first week of the season, you're not really seeing who the team is or what their capabilities are for the first game. Nice third down right there. I like that one. So I am picking the Lions to beat the Bears, probably somewhere around 30 to, if I had to guess, I'd say 14. So 30 to 14, the Lions over the Bears. See what we can do with this. Ow. To the left. See, I got to keep talking. I throw better. All right, so the next game, the Falcons at the Vikings. So the Falcons, right, played at home last week. They played my Buccaneers, and they got beat. I picked them to get beat last week, and they're playing Minnesota, who won last week, and I don't think I did pick Minnesota to win last week. So, here's the deal. Falcons going into Minnesota to play the Vikings. Falcons have a better team, I think, than Minnesota, and I think they will take this game. I would guess maybe a three-pointer, maybe somewhere around 31 to 28 Falcons. But Falcons are a better team than their record. Well, the record is 0-1, so not a big deal, right? But the Falcons will take this one in Minnesota. 31-28 is my prediction. All right. So the next game, my Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are 1-0. They beat the Falcons last week. They'll be playing on Monday night, which I really hate, you know, because I'm not a Monday night football guy. I'm not a stay up late guy. I never have been in my whole life. I can get up early every day of the week, but boy, I can't keep my eyes open and watch a Monday night football game. So the Buccaneers, without me watching them, or at least without me watching the end of the game, the Buccaneers will beat the Texans. And even though they're playing in Houston, right, and the Texans have their home field, I think the Buccaneers are going to win, I'd say by 6 points. So we're probably looking at 27-21, something along those lines. I think Emeka Mbuka is going to be a force, and we'll see what happens. But, you know, Buccaneers 2-0 and Texans 0-2. All right, so that's the end of my week 2 predictions. Again, I feel really comfortable with at least 14 of these games. So I think 14-2 is not out of the question. But this is the NFL, and a lot of things happen. So let's see what happens. Go ahead and give me some of your predictions. Tell me what your favorite team is. I'd really like to know. Tim the Dart Man, please let me know what you think.